Give a couple minutes, I'm not ready yet. I need a minute, please.
These two?
Understand. My fault. I turned it down.
Ready? Are you ready? Is that better? No. Is that better? Can you hear now?
No one's in there. We'll pull that shut till we're ready to go in, just to control that flow pad, that ventilation, because otherwise it just draws and breaks.
You ready down this way? Yeah? Barb, you ready?
Yeah, I guess.
Ready this way?
Who gave us this?
Yeah, who gave us these? Where'd these come from?
They are emailed to me for the
When would they email?
dates today. Alrighty. Are you ready? I'd like to call the meeting to order. If you'd please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Trustee Burt, present. Trustee Babdon, present. Trustee King, Supervisor Miller.
Here.
Clerk Triplett here. Treasurer Cleve.
Present.
Thank you.
Do we have any additions or deletions to the evening's agenda? I didn't hear any, so we move on to the corrections of the minutes from our special meeting, January 29th. Does anyone have any corrections? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the minutes from January 29th special meeting signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Those are approved. At this point, we're going to move on to public comment. I'd ask that you come to the podium, give us your name, you don't need to give us your address, and you'll be given 4 minutes to address the board.
Good evening. Gene Leverett, Senior, Flint Township, over 30 years. We certainly thank God for being here. If you don't mind, would everyone like to, or ones that like to participate can, we want to have a word of prayer. Lord, we thank you right now, Lord God. We thank you for this time, Lord God. Look upon each and every one in the room, Lord God. And Lord, we thank you right now, Lord God. I hope and pray that all that come here, Lord God, at these meetings, Lord God, that we be like-minded and be in favor of one another. Scripture says, let us be helpers one to another. And we certainly thank God, give us to be able to look to you, Lord God, the author and the finisher of our faith, Lord God. Touch each and every one, Lord God, and help us right now, Lord God, to be with one accord. And we thank you right now in the name of Jesus. Thank God. Amen.
Amen.
But we certainly thank God for the space. Thank God for all of you being here. When I came here, when we put Greg on for trustee, the room was packed. And when I came in here, I said to myself, I hope they ain't coming in here, I hope they coming in here to be like-minded and not unruly or anything of that sort, which we know Flint Township is not like that. But nevertheless, my prayer was for us to be helpers one to another. And that's what I see for the future of Flint Township. We have some things that we have to attend to. I was just notified that we have a grant or something coming down for this here blight. And I told him that speaks to my heart and weighs heavy on my heart to be able to drive around Flint Township and see a bag of trash sitting on the curb and not in front of a resident. And the same thing applies for Speedway. People come in there and they just throw trash, leaving the place. And something that happened, I think they just changed the guard up to Speedway because they had some tenants up there that really talked about keeping the place clean. They used to be out wiping off the gas pumps and all that kind of thing, and picking up the trash, and just made my heart glad when I come in there. But now at most of the businesses, I was at another business the other day, and they had the trash flowing over out of the trash can. And I'm saying, oh, God. But nevertheless, those are things that I think that we should be like-minded at as well, that we're not going throughout Flint Township throwing trash around. So let's continue to pray one for another. All right, Amen. Be blessed.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who'd like to address the board?
For those who don't know me, I've sat where you've sat. I hope we have a camaraderie because being township officials and that, my name is Rod Shoemaker. I also served Layton Township 12 years. But I've come tonight in a spirit of hopefully you look upon me not only as a comrade as township government, but also as a friend. You know, a friend has an obligation to look out for their friends. And the reason I'm here tonight is that if a friend of mine was going to run their car into a ditch, he'd want to do everything you could to prevent them from harming themselves and also causing damage. The reason I'm here tonight is in relationship to the fact, let's equate ourselves as a car. Let's name that car Flint Township, Charter Township of Flint. Not a general law, but now we're in the car. Now we get behind the wheel, but the wheel is for direction. The wheel is to direct us in a place to where we want to go. We will call that wheel the Michigan Charter Township Act. It is a law that was adopted 47 and modified in 78 to protect most townships from annexation. But it also had two parts to that wheel. So the next thing you do is we're driving that Flint Township charter car is we look in relationship to the rules and regulations of the road. I come to you tonight to ask you to look at the rules and regulations of the road. They're called the Charter Township Act. Two of the most important ingredients in relationship to the Charter Township millage is that if it's adopted by either proposal or resolution and or by a vote of the people, the Charter Township, when established, can levy up to 5 mills. The Township Board may choose to automatically levy up to the first 5 mills without additional, and here's the key word, voter approval, and without limit in number of the years. With that act also, and in that steering wheel, in the Charter Township Act, is the second caveat as to where we go with that. It refers to extra voted millage. The township may then levy up to 5 additional mills for a maximum of 10 mills, but only by voter approval and limited to 20 years. I served on one board, Mundy Township, became a charter. Clayton was iffy, so we took everything to vote. The reason I'm mentioning this is I have real concern in relationship to the fact that a township board may violate this act by not taking it to the voters, by not taking and following through that one word, but only by voter approval. Some people think that because the township levies I've got the numbers 9.342, 9.2423, but as far as your operating, the others were voted. They were voted because those past boards knew that after 5 mills, it had to go to the vote of people. The township roads was voted. The township fire was voted. Public safety was voted. And I would urge you tonight to not add any millage in violation of the Charter Township Act without a vote of the people. This board hopefully will look at representation. They will look at in relationship to the law, and we do have copies of that for the board. It's MCL 42.27. We've got copies for the board member, Madam Supervisor, and the rest of the board. I hope you'll take this as a recommendation from a friend. There's no reason, in essence, to violate any statutes or any laws as it relates to the Charter Township Act. So
Thank
I'd
you,
like-
Mr. Shoemaker.
If I can approach you, I'd like to give a copy. Would the
Can you-
board be acceptable to me giving you a copy of that MCL?
Can you bring it to Mrs. Tucker and she can pass it out to us?
Oh,
Thank you.
I wanted to be respectful.
Thank you.
I've been there.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Jeff. And we highlighted, it's voter, voter, voter. Please let the people vote on a tax increase.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who'd like to address the board?
Hello, my name is Jacob Golish. I'm addressing you guys right now in regards to recent changes in Southeast Michigan. The topic is going to be kind of a more exciting topic than we normally have. It's going to be about psychedelic mushrooms. So the cities of Ann Arbor, Detroit, Hazel Park, the county of Washtenaw, the city of Ypsilanti, as well as a few other municipalities in the southeast automotive corridor of Michigan have recently decriminalized magic mushrooms and generally natural occurring psychedelics like cacti and things of this nature. I don't know why you're laughing, but the University of Michigan has, in the last 3 years, put several $1 million into building facilities, starting programs, and conducting research on the use of psilocybin, MDMA, and other substances in treating PTSD. The Veterans Administration has recently, they recently completed a study, and they're doing another study on treatment-resistant post-traumatic stress disorder among combat veterans using entheogenic substances with promising results. There's a ketamine clinic actually in Flint Township right now. If you Google ketamine clinic, I think it says 2 or 3 miles away from here right now. This has been there have been successful models in several cities and several other states, including in our own less than 60 miles away, which is where the Washtenaw County line is, I believe. Right now, there is a bill throughout the state of Michigan introduced by State Senator Jeff Irwin, representing the district that I just referenced, Washtenaw County area. Senate Bill 499 would decriminalize psychedelics in the state of Michigan, allow for general health utilization while also not allowing commercial interests. This would mean community-based grows, community-based groups managing themselves without state oversight taxes, and also preventing the ability for organized crime to involve itself in such a situation. Harvard also has a psychedelic studies program, as well as MIT and several other well-respected institutions. The Veterans Administration Undersecretary was recently quoted saying, veterans and VA researchers have told us about the potential promise of psychedelics to treat mental health conditions for some time. Now is our chance to study this potential method of treating veterans with treatment-resistant PTSD and major depression across the country. This is from the Veteran Administration's Undersecretary for Health a few months ago. What I'm asking is that you guys consider a compassionate and free policy towards the utilization of entheogens in the state of Michigan. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who'd like to address the board?
Hi, my name is Samantha Roberts. I am a resident of Flint Township as well. I'm just going to kind of reiterate some points about how good of a thing it is to decriminalize entheogens in a city. And I want to talk about how in every city, township that has currently decriminalized in their area have not seen any higher crime rates. They haven't seen any more emergency room visits. They haven't seen any other changes. The only thing that has changed is it has given people access to something that can help them. There is about 22 million people out there that have been evaluated that need help in some sort of medical treatment for substance abuse disorder, and only 3% are able to actually receive those treatments. So decriminalizing an entheogenic product for people to be able to access it appropriately could really save lives, including lives of veterans, people of domestic violence, PTSD. It could help lives for people who have gambling issues. There was a study done on people who smoke cigarettes. Everyone has dealt with cigarettes in their family, knows somebody. 80% of people that used magic mushrooms twice stopped using and haven't used since, and checking in with them 3 years later. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else want to address the board?
Good evening. My name is Keith Kirby. I'm the president of CurbCo. Great to see the faces that I know here. The ones I don't know, I look forward to getting to know you. It's been brought to my attention by the newspaper article last week, and I don't claim all the facts were in the article, no offense to the writer, that raising taxes on business is being considered. And I would just like the board and anybody else that can help them to look at consolidating services instead of thinking the quickest way to solve problems is charging more money.
Amen. Amen.
I employ about 65 people that are wonderful people that pay payroll tax, property tax, that live in this township. I know you don't get all of it. Act 51 money, sales tax, fuel tax, federal excise tax. If I need to keep going, I can come up with some other taxes. We're taxed to death, folks, in Genesee County.
Amen.
We have more millages. We lead the country in governmental agencies with millages.
Can you hear me now?
I'm not available. I don't want to come up here and get crazy. I think everybody knows the investment that I've made in this community. It's a community I grew up in. I continue to invest. I continue to brag. It's a great place to do business in. But if we raise our taxes, we're not going to be a great place to do business in. There's other ways to attract people, and there's other ways to correct our financial shortfalls than just increasing an invoice. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kurt.
Is there anyone else who'd like to address the board?
Hello.
I'm Keith Powers, 67 years in the township, and I don't want to leave either. There has already been a tax on the businesses, and everybody passed it because it doesn't affect my property, they said. It only affects businesses. Yeah, we see how it affects them in higher costs, maybe laying people off because they can't afford this and that. And I'm against any proposed assessment that's supposedly coming up. That's just all I have to say.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who'd like to address the board?
Good evening. My name is Paul Young. I live in Grand Blanc Township, and I'm here tonight to share a little news, make an introduction. Again, my name is Paul Young, and as it says on my shirt, I am running for Congress here in Michigan's 8th District. Probably most of you know the 8th District is Genesee County, Saginaw County, Bay County, and just about all of Midland County. Our current member of Congress is Dan Kildee, a name that I think is well known to probably just about everyone in the room. I am the Republican that ran against Dan in the last election cycle. I came up a little bit short, but Dan is not running again, and I'm throwing my hat back in the ring. Just a brief introduction about myself. I was born here in Michigan. Saw a few folks with Wolverines gear. I was born in Ann Arbor, so of course very pleased with the result on the football field this season. I'm about fifth generation Michigander. My mother was a teacher. My dad worked in the auto industry until he started a business maintaining military family housing. So at Army, Navy, and Air Force bases across the country, they owned homes and apartment buildings for the service personnel and their families. We did the plumbing, the painting, the grounds work, taking care of the folks that are protecting us around the world. I got a law degree. I was for a while a county prosecutor. I worked in a domestic violence unit, worked in my dad's family business, and as it's relevant to this position that I'm seeking now, I also worked in Washington, D.C., both on Capitol Hill. I was an investigative counsel for Senator Chuck Grassley of Iowa, and I also worked in the Department of Homeland Security on border and immigration issues. I guess I will conclude by saying that we have 9 months until our November election, and I will be campaigning hard, and I look forward. Many of you, I see some familiar faces here already. I hope to get to know you better and get to know and meet more of you as I campaign. And I want to address specifically the elected officials here. You know, I recognize that you represent people in this community and you know their needs very well. And should I be successful, I will look forward to working with you so that I can be the voice, not just for everyone in the district in Washington, but in particular the folks that know very well the needs here in this district. So thank you for the opportunity to introduce myself. Look forward to getting to know more of you better over the next 9 months. Thank you.
Hello, good evening. My name's Chuck Melke. I own Gabriel Pistol Range at 3304 South Linden Road. My first comment to the board is that I came here 5 months ago and complained about parking lot issues. I've complained about bloody rags from the plasma companies flying all over that most civilians we don't have the capability of cleaning up. It's a biohazard. And I'm disappointed that no one called me back. And I made 2 other calls to try to take care of the issue. And not one board member, not one official has called me back. I even came up here a month ago and dragged one of the code enforcement officers out of the office. He was nice enough to follow me back to my business, and he saw all the things, said, yeah, we'll take care of it. And it's not been taken care of. I come here now, and I didn't know about this tax thing, so how the heck do you want people to pay taxes if they can't get services for a business I'm already paying $10,000 in taxes? I'm paying 10 grand a year. That's 4 months of my wages that I have to pay right from Jump Street to you guys. And I sit on a board. You guys all know me. 47 years in municipal government, mostly in law enforcement, but I've been elected to several positions. And when I sat up on that board, and Mr. Gilner can attest to this, if somebody asked me a question or had a concern, I answered that question at the end of the meeting. And if I did not answer it, I would tell the person that was in charge, one of my department heads, you take care of that person that took his time from his busy day to come to this meeting to make a complaint to you. That is very atrocious that you would not do that. Number 2, about this tax thing. I don't know really what's going on about it. I don't know if it's assessment or you're levying a tax. Some assessments can be raised, not to contradict Mr. Shoemaker. But he is right about the Charter Millage Act, but it depends on how you word it. So I understand how that trickery works, tomfoolery trickery. But regardless of what you say or do, that's a very authoritative way if you're going to do an assessment. You should let the taxpayers make that decision, because every board I've been on, I will never ever pass a tax And I've even taken them back where people have to go back to the taxpayers to approve that. I did that with police millages, I did that with school millages, fire millages, and general operating millages. So I don't know if that's true or not. I'm just, that's a caveat on for why I came for the other issue, okay? I appreciate your time. Hopefully somebody will call me back and take care of my issues. I have a couple $100,000 in parking lot damage. Person next door to me didn't pull a permit, raised his parking lot 6 inches. If somebody raised their property 6 inches next to you and flooded out your basement and property, don't you think that the government should take care of it? Why should it be incumbent upon me to take care of it when they have ordinances to address that? So what's the sense of having ordinances or paying officials to do that? I mean,
Chuck, can you address the board, please?
Yes.
Thank you.
Well, I think the public should know about it. I addressed the board last time and I didn't get a response. It's been September I came. I came in September. I didn't get one call. And when I do call, I came up here and the guy was a nice gentleman. I don't remember his name. I don't want to say he's older because I'm 63 now, so he's probably my age. But yeah, that's it. So I just appreciate if somebody gives me a call back, takes care of my issue. I put a large investment in my property there. I've lived in this area my entire life, although I live in the next jurisdiction over, but I've been in Monday, Clayton, Flint Township. I'm in Acorn. I fell off the tree and I'm still here. So thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Is there anyone else who'd like to address the board? Anybody? One last time, if you'd like to speak during public comment, now is the chance to address the board. And if nobody's moving toward the podium, we're gonna close public comment portion of the meeting and move on to reports. So, what I wanted to bring to the township board's attention was, I was sent 2 emails today from residents in the township, and my assistant made copies and set it out at your place at the table. It's in opposition to a proposed assessment. I also wanted to bring to the board's attention, on January 30th, we received notification from the Ham Group Realty of the enclosed is a copy of our closing statement for the sale and the purchase of the property during the past year. And I wanted to let everyone know that we did receive the $135,000 for the acres behind Dyewood. And I'm gonna have the clerk file this, and it can be part of the record too, that there's a document from the sales of that property. That's all I have for my report this evening, Madam Clerk. Do you ever, oh, no, it's not. I apologize. And I know that, Chief Salter, I know you're gonna say something, but I'm gonna say it now too. I follow the Flint Township Crime Watch, and Melissa Kay often posts important information regarding issues in the township. And we just had one of our employees pass away. That's unusual because they're mostly younger than me. And she was in her 40s. Her name was Michelle Bucar. She worked for us for 17 years, and she passed away recently. And I know you'll have more to say about that, Chief Salter, but keep her family in your prayers. She has a 15-year-old son. Her husband worked part-time for us in code enforcement, and it's a loss. And I know she's going to be missed at the police department, where they saw her smiling face day in and day out. That's my report. Madam Clerk, do you have a report this evening?
My report this evening is we started processing ballots. We do have the mailbox outside, as I repeated before, and we have the one on Graham Road at the senior center. Please try to just get your ballots or your voter's application in there. We're receiving a lot of other things with the mail as well, but we'll make sure you get that information. We do have the early voting that starts February the 17th through the 25th. It'll be held in this room from 8 to 5:30. Also, we have postcards that have went out because we've made a couple of changes that will make the voting process a little easier and for the township and for the amount of staff that we're working with. So I just want to stress that we do have you have the opportunity, because we're not open usually on Fridays and Saturdays. We're only here Monday through Thursdays. So you do have the opportunity to put that ballot out there, and we usually get it the next day and process it and stamp it. And I'm sure if I missed anything, my deputy will take it up for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Treasurer, do you have a report for us this evening?
Couple things to bring up. Yes. As you guys know, we're trying to look at what we're doing with some of the money that we have set aside that we cannot allocate to pay for, if you will, an additional firefighter or to buy a fire truck and that. But we can invest some of this money into the proper places so it's earning some interest. And I mentioned to you folks that in the end of December, we purchased a couple CDs through Dorp Federal, and maybe you did not see the ads for 5.75% interest at minimum $50,000, minimum 11 months. Well, we received our interest statement on the little bit that we dropped in there on December 28th till December 31st, and we received $340. It's not a lot, but it's interest earned in 3.5 days, that when these come due in November 28th, the interest based on where we are now will anywhere from $16,000 to $24,000 will be an increase there. The other thing is, we received a statement the other day from Huntington where we have another set of CDs that are there earning interest, and they're from the sewer and water and from public safety, and they're funds that are set aside for those investment avenues, if you will, but not for paying salaries, not for doing those things, but to operate. And we received an interest statement stating that they paid us because when I first was appointed the treasurer in August, I looked at these and went, we're getting the minimal amount of interest. And I went to Huntington and asked to close those CDs. I asked to close those CDs and asked them for a better interest rate. And they were a little apprehensive about asking for a check written back to the township so I could take them to whoever it might be. And in that case, I used the phrase Chase because that's where the majority of our banking was. Well, after about 4 or 5 days of back and forth, we were able to get them to a 5.3% interest rate from a 0.01 interest rate. And I locked that in until September 1 of 2024. Those will generate, well, previous to that, we received a statement showing the past 5 years of interest earned. And our controller received that statement, and it's around $40,000 mark for 5 years. This interest rate between now and September 1 should generate around $45,000 to $50,000 in interest, and will continue to grow as long as our interest rates maintain. So I guess what I want to say is the money's in a better place than it was, and we're generating some better interest than we were in previous. And I have one item to take care of. But, well, I do want to talk about one other thing. And for those of you that are here this evening and have a concern, yes, definitely, about what you may have read in the paper, what you may have heard, what you feel you haven't received all the nuts and bolts and the particulars, you're absolutely right. All the particulars aren't in place to give you what the numbers are and what we're looking at a public, a fire operating assessment would be. We're not looking to hurt anybody. We're not looking to punish anybody. We're not looking, and I can't direct any conversations to business owners specific or to residents alike, but I know and I see what's happening to our departments and what has happened. And a lot of the conversation has been, well, we have a public safety assessment that we just, bless you, that we just renewed to go on for an additional 10 years. But based on that public safety assessment and looking what that offers, millage, it supplies funding to 2 departments at a level that, and you'll get the printouts and the information, you'll have all this so we can have public discussion, which is what we want to open this up to, so that the public has an opportunity to come and see what the reason behind the asking of you folks
for the public's input. In no way was anybody on this board, and there was some conversation made a couple weeks ago that a couple of people were trying to go behind somebody's back. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not going behind anybody's back. Those of you that know me and have known me for a long time, I'm only looking out for the best interest, what I feel, of everybody involved. The idea or the interest brought to you for an assessment, and I spoke to our attorney with several different conversations here to my right, that Mr. Gildner, I asked him question upon question. How does this work, and what does it do, and how do we go about it? And asked for his guidance in directing the documentation and getting the things in the right order. Well, in order to get the things in the right order, I had to ask him to draft some documents. I have 2 documents this evening that are asking for us to move a step forward in the process. It's not to vote on an assessment at all. It is a tentative declaration or a tentative conversation with the public. And both of these statements say, one of them will be read in a little bit, and the line says, the Township Board tentatively declares its intent to finance protection services for the fire department. The other statement is a notice of public hearing that item number 2 leads off with, the purpose of this hearing is to hear comments and objections about the possible establishment of a special assessment district to finance fire support. Neither of those say that you or I are going to pay for a public assessment. It's to ask you folks to come before all of us and the police and fire department and any other questions that you have to ask, and all the paperwork will be laid out. Everything is in the process. I have a sheet here of frequently asked questions based on other communities that have established an operating assessment. It's also based on what values us as homeowners here in the community would be paying based on that. A couple people last meeting spoke to the tune of $800-900, and that was not based on a residential home. And I had conversation with a couple of those people after that meeting about what the potential dollar amount, and again, we're looking at a dollar that will help to appease the revenue that we have lost over the past few years, multiple years, due to our homes not holding value, but yet in turn to say, how can this, what would this assessment do for us, and how it would impact us in a positive manner, not negatively directed at any individual, whether it be homeowner or resident. So with that said, I'll wait to read these into the minutes under items A and B.
Thank you. Do we have any other trustee reports?
I have one comment. There was something that was posted or written in the Township News that I voted along with Trustee King and Carol Pfaffdahl in regards to something in the bills. That was not the case. I did not vote along with them, so I wanted to clarify that.
Any other trustee reports? This way. We're going to move on to staff reports. Mrs. Tucker?
Just a couple of things. The ZBA, there is no ZBA meeting tomorrow. We didn't have any applications for any public hearings. We do have a planning commission meeting on Thursday to review the Westminster project again. And I do have a couple of items on the agenda for board appointments. And basically, I did want to, I didn't know if Manya knew that I had put these cards out on the table. So if anybody wants to see the early voting information, it is out there. Early voting for this election starts the 17th. I think you said that. But just so everybody knows, from now on, every election in the state of Michigan will have 9-day early voting available to you.
Thank you. And I just want to reiterate, for anyone who's interested in coming to the Planning Commission meeting, it's this Thursday here at 6 p.m. And they're going to be looking at the rezoning ordinance for the parking lot that is off the end of Westminster. So I just want all the residents to know that that's going to be this Thursday here at 6 p.m. for the reconsideration of the zoning to change the zoning from multiple family to industrial, correct?
Well, it's conditional zoning, so it's only for one particular thing. It's not a complete, I don't know how you would say that, Michael. It's not actually, it would not actually be industrial zoning. It would only be that conditional use zone, right?
Well, the issue comes up to the planning commission on the,
Right, so they're gonna review it at the meeting.
thank you. Chief Salter?
Yes, ma'am, thank you. Since our last board meeting in January 22nd, there's been over 1,000 911 calls for service in the township, which we have an average of about 85 per day. Again, that number does not include the 160 traffic stops, 74 business checks, and 57 residence checks that your officers conducted. Today, we were dispatched to the area of Miller and Ballinger for reports of a vehicle crash, along with the fire department. Investigation revealed that a vehicle driven by Lee Walker was driving northbound on Ballinger when he crossed the center line and hit another vehicle driving southbound. Walker was rushed to the hospital where he's pronounced deceased. The driver of the other vehicle has been cooperating with investigators and was treated at an area hospital for minor injuries. In Ballinger Highway is closed for several hours to conduct a crash investigation. We are assisted by our fire department and the Michigan State Police. And that's just one example of us working with the fire department, which we do almost on a day-to-day basis now. As many are aware, Michigan State Police Trooper Pop was killed while on duty on January 24th. He was standing outside a patrol vehicle investigating a drunk driver on I-75 near Clio when another motorist struck him and two other cars. Trooper Pop was transported to the Hurley Hospital where he succumbed to his injuries. Make sure you keep his family and friends in your thoughts and prayers, and just move over law. If you see lights, move over one lane for us to slow down. As Supervisor Miller stated, we lost one of our own, who I've known since she was hired in 2006. Communications operator Michelle Bucar passed away on January 24th. She was recovering from a heart attack she suffered in early of 2023. And she's been employed with us since 2006, and there's a lot of us that are gonna miss her. I mean, she was a very hard worker and very well respected, and just to see her smiling face every day coming in. Please keep her husband and son in your thoughts and prayers. I do not have anything for the agenda.
Thank you. Chief Beckley?
Thank you. I have a pretty lengthy report this evening. It's been a busy few days here for us. Since the last board meeting, your fire department's responded to over 50 incidents. This includes four structure fires, 2 vehicle accidents with entrapments, and 3 vehicle fires in the last 2 weeks. On the 22nd, just before our last board meeting, I think I touched on it there, we had a commercial structure fire in the 4,000 block of West Court Street. This was at a apartment complex there. Luckily, the fire was contained to one apartment, but there was extensive overhaul work that had to be done there. The cause of that fire appears to be a heating and air conditioning unit inside of that unit. On the 23rd, we responded to the 5300 block of Dyewood for a carbon monoxide alarm. When our on-duty firefighters arrived on scene, they found extremely high levels of carbon monoxide inside of this home. Over 400 parts per million, which is extremely high, was found inside of the house. In the garage, there was over 1,800 parts per million of carbon monoxide. These are extremely deadly levels that luckily these people had working at detectors in their home to alert them to get out. If not, that definitely could have been a deadly incident. So just want to remind everyone, please make sure you have working CO and smoke detectors in your home. If you need help with those, please call us. We can help you get those. We'll actually come out and install them. All free of charge. Please give us a call, 810-732-4413. That home having those detectors, in my opinion, definitely saved lives. Put out a press release earlier Saturday regarding a structure fire we had Saturday morning in the 3,000 block of Halbert. Fire crews were called right around 3:30 in the morning for a house on fire. The initial reports that 2 people lived in the home, but there was no car in the driveway. Our first fire engine arrived on scene within 3 minutes of the initial dispatch. Our firefighter that was on that engine did a size up of that home, deployed a 1 3/4 hand line to the front door of that house. Upon the second truck and additional personnel arriving on scene, they made entry into the home. They began knocking down the fire until enough personnel arrived on scene to safely search this home. They began a primary search of the home and within 1 minute found a victim inside. They immediately removed this victim. CPR was started on scene and care was transferred to EMS. Unfortunately, that person did not survive that incident. Chief, did you have anything you wanted to add into that one?
Yeah, I did. As another example of us working together with the fire department. Of course, anytime there's a death, there's an investigation into it. And working with the Michigan State Police and our fire department, our investigators determined that it was actually an arson, and which in turn led to a homicide. We identified the suspect, located the suspect within 18 hours of identification, and he was arrested Saturday night, and he is currently in Genesee County Jail awaiting charges to get reviewed by the Genesee County prosecutor. So again, that's an example of both your departments working well together.
Yes, and I cannot emphasize that enough. Our police agents, or our police department was a huge help on that incident, both on the initial fire and during the investigation. We were also assisted by Michigan State Police, their fire investigation unit, their accelerant detection canines, and also I believe the ATF has gotten involved at this point. On the 4th, we were responded to a commercial structure fire in the 1000 block of Suncrest Drive at Sunridge Apartments. The initial call was for smoke detectors going off in the building. Fire started in an unoccupied first floor apartment, traveling through the floor and walls, spreading into the apartment above. There was extensive extinguishment, overhaul, and search operations conducted inside of that building, and approximately 4 apartments were affected by that fire. We were assisted by our police department with the evacuation, and also by Mount Morris Township and the City of Flint Fire Departments as well were on scene with us. We were out there for, I think, about 3 hours total. This morning, we responded to the 5200 block of Corona Road at Proclean for a reported building on fire. We arrived to find smoke inside of the building. Luckily, it was contained to a box of insulation that we were able to quickly remove from the building, and the fire was contained to that. There was extensive ventilation that had to be done to get the remaining smoke and stuff out of that building. And as Chief Salter already hit on, we assisted them this morning on the accident Miller and Ballinger. There was the one victim was entrapped, so we had to cut them out with the jaws of life. We also assisted EMS on scene there. Couple better notes here. Each year, Genesee County Association of Fire Chiefs nominates a firefighter of the year in Genesee County. This is usually a firefighter that goes above and beyond in the line of duty or even outside of the line of duty. I was just notified this afternoon that Sergeant Joshua Clements has been awarded the 2023 Genesee County Firefighter of the Year for the actions on December 8, 2023, along with Officer Stambaugh at the accident Miller and Dye. So I just want to say congratulations to him. This is actually 2 years in a row that one of our Flint Township firefighters has received this award. Also, Captain Nestor's like to congratulate him. He recently, last week I believe, finished up his National Fire Protection Association Certified Fire Inspector curriculum. I can tell you from experience, this is an extremely difficult class, testing process, and practical evolution that has to be done. So just want to congratulate him. It's been a long year completing that process. We have several action items on the agenda tonight, and just want to remind everybody that we, as I say almost every single meeting now, we are always looking for on-call firefighters. There's a huge turnout here tonight, which is great. Please, if you're interested, we are always looking. We have 10 on-call firefighters right now in this community, which is down from about around 50 that we've had many years back. So if you are interested at all, please come see us. We have applications. We would love to see more firefighters in this community. So since everyone's here, just wanted to mention that also. Thank you.
Good job, Tim. Mr. McIntyre, do you have a report for us this evening?
No.
Mrs. Dotson, do you have a report? And I don't think we have a committee report, do we, John? Thank you. We'll move on to number 8, Mr. Treasurer.
Yes. Trustees, you should have all received copies of the payment and invoices and/or disbursements. I was still writing, excuse me, I'll turn my pages. We have invoices in the amount of $560,851.61. This is authorized per the purchasing policy of the township. In addition, we acknowledge that we'll have a tax disbursement in the amount of $5,316,573.77 for a total of $5,877,425.38 in invoices and tax disbursements. Therefore, my motion is to approve payment of the invoices in the amount of, per the resolution, $560,851.61. In addition, with acknowledged tax distributions in the amount of $5,316,573.77 for an overall total again of $5,877,425.38 in invoices and disbursements.
We have a motion to pay the bills. Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Any questions for Mr. Treasurer?
Remember, guys, that a lot of this is, and I mention it, I was doing it months ago before this. This is a lot of the pass-through. We collect an awful lot of tax, but that doesn't mean that we retain it. It goes other places. And if you look at your bill, unfortunately, we all have to send it other places.
So, Madam Clerk, roll call, please, on the motion to pay the bills in the amount of $560,851.61.
Trustee Fabdo? No. Trustee King?
Yes.
Trustee Burt?
Yes.
Treasurer Klee?
Yes.
Supervisor Miller?
Yes.
And Clerk Triplett, yes.
Thank you. Number 9 is correspondence and informational items. I brought that to your attention. That was said on the desk or the table when you got here. We move on to new business. Action item A. I'm going to turn it over to you, Treasurer Klee.
Thank you. Oh, it's right in front of me. As I mentioned before, and I'll be very clear with this and concise, what I have in front of you, and you folks have it in front of all of you, is a resolution of intent. And all this is both of these, is to allow us to, as per the attorney and per the state law and per the following of the guidelines, is to put this out there to the residents so that we can have the opportunity to have discussion and meetings and let you folks see exactly what this whole piece entails. So I'm going to read this if I may. Whereas the township operates a fire department and finances the fire protection services through a general operating line item in its budget. Whereas due to cuts in state revenue sharing and lower tax revenue due to the depressed property values, the township is concerned about the opportunity, concerned about its ability to maintain the level of fire protection services absent additional sources of revenue. Whereas the township board is tentatively, and I strike highly on the tentatively, interested in financing fire protection services it provides through a special assessment pursuant to Public Act 33, stated by the state of Michigan, 1951. Now therefore, the Flint Township Board hereby resolves as follows. 1, the Township Board tentatively declares its intent to finance fire protection services by a special assessment district consisting of the parcels in the all parcels in the township, subject to the collection of these taxes under the General Property Tax Act. Item 2, the Township Board then directs the supervisor or his or her designee to estimate the costs and expenses of maintaining fire protection services throughout this township and to file them with the township clerk, where they shall be available for inspection or copying upon request. The Township Board, item 3, shall hold a hearing on first hearing on February 26, 2024 at 6 p.m. at the Central Church of the Nazarene, 1261 West Bristol Road, Flint, Michigan, 48507, to hear comments or objections about 1, the costs and estimates of providing fire protection services. Item 2, the establishment of a special assessment district to finance those services. That district to consist of all parcels in this township, subject to the collection of taxes under the General Property Tax Act. And item 3, this special assessment being a levy of up to 4 mills of the taxable value of all assessed parcels. And then item 4, notice, this hearing shall be published in the newspaper or general circulation in the township no less than 5 days before the hearing, excuse me, at a regular meeting of the Board of Trustees, the Township of Flint, held on February 5th, 2024, and moved for adoption in the adoption of the foregoing resolution. Said person moves and said person supports this motion, and then the vote is taken. So that's item number 1. So my resolution is per as a special assessment intent to tentatively get the interested folks involved.
That's your motion?
Yes, ma'am.
Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Yes, we're having discussion, yes. So now's the time to ask questions.
I guess I'll start.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, I did. I said February 5th, and I meant to say February 26th. I jumped ahead. So the item 3 should have said the February 26th evening at the Church of Nazarene. Sorry about that. Thank you for correcting me.
That's the day before the election, right?
Yeah, the election's Tuesday.
It is, okay, I thought so. Well, I'm still trying to get over the fact that, on the agenda at our previous meeting, that we had a fire evaluation. And voila, it's an assessment. Those don't match, okay? I have not been invited to these meetings to this day. I got a text on the Monday of the last board meeting that says you got a minute, and I didn't. I didn't have a minute for something that's been in the process for months and months and months. And I am a member of this board, and I'm offended, and I think this stuff is a little deceitful. I don't think they're being honest with the residents. It's disturbing, it's disgusting, and I am not for an assessment, no ifs, ands, or buts. Because I would like information more than this sitting here today.
Anybody else? No? You have nothing? Nothing?
All I can say is I reached out with a text, and phone calls work 2 ways.
Can't hear you.
He said I've reached out with a text, and the phone calls work 2 ways.
Text is not a phone call.
I text you to see.
All
It
right.
doesn't
And I
matter.
couldn't meet with you.
I'm not gonna
All
argue
right.
with you. You've had ample opportunity to reach out since, and there's been no closed door secret sessions. Anybody that has asked, I have been more than happy to explain our position.
So nothing else down this way? Do you have anything? Clerk
So-
Triplett?
We have the attorney here to answer questions in regards to this, correct?
Yes, and we
So-
have the assessor, Paula Dotson here, and the controller to answer questions. So whatever question you have.
I don't have any questions for you guys yet, but Attorney Gilner, this township resolution that I'm looking at, this is to put forth for the residents to hear information, or is this to put forth for us to automatically initiate an assessment? Or is this going to allow our residents an opportunity to vote, yes, we want an assessment, or no, we don't, we want a millage? Will it give our residents an opportunity to make a decision on how they want to go forth with
So
this?
the resolution is prepared, does not put this on the ballot for the electors to vote.
Can you please bring the microphone?
Can't hear you. Speak
Got
to
it.
the mic.
Got it, guys.
Thank you.
The resolution as prepared does not put it before the electors. That is an option, but that isn't what I prepared, because that's not what I was asked to explore. What this does is it sets up, I explained last time, it's a process. This would be the first step in the process. It is,
It can, in the process of,
so it directs someone to come up with the cost, which is going to tell you something about what you need to make up in terms of the revenue. That information is on file with the clerk.
Came up with 4 mils.
We can't have interruptions from the audience, I'm sorry.
That would be filed with the clerk. That information would be available to the clerk. And the public hearing that is scheduled is for residents to come up and express their opinion about this process.
Did you get your answer?
No.
So you're asking, is this to set up the public hearings, or is this put in process
wanna know-
this special assessment?
Okay, but maybe I need to explain myself a little clearer. This paper
Yeah.
and the meeting that we're having February the 26th.
First one.
Six.
26.
The
Right.
day before the election, is for the residents to hear
Right,
the idea going forth,
right,
correct?
exactly.
But it's for the idea of an assessment,
Right.
not a millage.
That's right.
It doesn't put anything in motion. It gives, and if I'm wrong, correct me. It doesn't put anything in motion other than like an informative type of meeting.
That is a fair way to put it. So what I'm often asked is, does this lock you in?
Exactly.
Are you bound by 4 mills? Are you bound by special assessment? Are you bound by?
I'm not bound at all.
You're not with this resolution. At some point, you will be, past the point of no return, but that is at least 2 more resolutions down the road.
Can I ask a question on that then? In regards to what Attorney Gilner just said, so this, as I stated, this is to allow for us to open a room up at the church, back here, at another church, back here, for paperwork and documentation and questions and information load and gathering. At no point does this say, because it, as the documentation was sent from you, it's a tentative informational with intent to give the public what we're proposing, not to say etched in stone. This is saying why. Will lay out all the finances. This will give you we've got I got a lot of folks that have sent in frequently asked questions to me. Hey, Clee, what does this mean? Hey, Clee, what does this mean? Hey, so I've been compiling these. I don't have them all ready to hand out to you yet. I have a big list that I've been putting together that people have been submitting and asking this question and that question. What's it gonna impact a home of 60,000, 40,000, 120,000, and how will this be calculated? What will this do? So that's what the intent was when I reached out to Attorney Gilner multiple times to ask for the right and proper way to do this, and then asked the folks around the table, what do we do? Greg King and I had a conversation. Greg King had a conversation with Supervisor Miller. I can't speak to what Greg King and Supervisor Miller said, but Greg can speak to what was expressed in those meetings. And in that case, I said, let's at least go forward and ask and show the residents what we're looking for, what we're asking for. That's why I reached out to Attorney Gilder, told Supervisor Miller, did I tell you I was gonna reach out to Attorney Gilder?
Yes.
Okay, that I would reach out to Attorney Gilder and ask him to clarify and help me understand the right way. I didn't know how the right way was to do this. I'm asking for the right way.
I'm going to jump in and segue just a little bit. I'm not going to take you too far down that road, but it does raise a good point, and Ms. Triplett raised it at the beginning, and that is, when I represent a community, I ask the community to tell me exactly who can contact me, ask me to do things, et cetera. That was made clear to me that Mr. Klee could ask that question. And so I put this together. I am not in a pro-special assessment camp or a con camp. That is not my purpose. I was asked, how does this work? What is the paperwork? And then, at the last meeting, I was asked to prepare this paperwork. So that's my role as I see it, is to explain the process and walk you through it as best I can.
Have you asked your questions? You mind if I jump in?
Go ahead.
So this resolution that we received this evening, I did see a copy of it on yesterday. I saw a draft of it the week before, but there was an address change, a date change, and you had drafted something with 1 mill and it got changed, I don't know what day it was, sometime this week, to 4 mills, which I saw yesterday. So There's two ways for us to, besides the taxes that we collect. We can have voted in millage, right? Or we can do an assessment. This is not the process for a millage, is it?
This is special assessment.
Special assessment. Millage, people would get to vote on. Special assessment, nobody has a vote, correct?
In the way that you're proceeding, that's true.
That's correct. This resolution says that one, we're gonna have a hearing to hear comments or objections about the costs and estimates of providing fire protection services. Two, by us voting on this resolution tonight, we're starting the process to establish the establishment of a special assessment district to finance those services. That district to consist of all parcels in the township subject to the collection of taxes under the General Property Act. And three, voting on this resolution tonight, we're voting to move in the direction of a special assessment being a levy of up to 4 mills of the taxable value of all assessed parcels. I got a question on that. Is it always gonna, if this board votes yes, is it always gonna remain 4 mills, or can that go up or down?
It can change.
It can change, it can go up, can it?
Can I address that?
No, I'm asking the attorney.
If you pass a resolution that says up to 4 mills, that can't be exceeded.
Correct.
If during this process you're going through and you decide it should be higher, you can do that. And to that point, when I prepared it initially with 1 mill, you will remember the last time I was before you, I was given no guidance in terms of the mill or the number. So that was just kind of, my own imagination at work. I put that there. And then I was asked, no, we're thinking about 4, and I inserted 4. That's how that came about.
And so this board votes on the 4 mills, or is it a different board? This board. But if this millage passes, this board could, I'm sorry, you're right, I said the wrong word. If this assessment passes, this board can set up a special board that oversees the fire department and controls the budget. Is that correct?
The special assessment has nothing to do with that. That's a separate part of state law where you can have up, this board for the fire department, but this has nothing to do with it.
Okay.
So, once we have our hearing, that doesn't lock us into an assessment. We can stop at any time and change course.
If there's nothing else that you take away from what I'm saying, that's it tonight. Now, that will not always be the case,
Yes.
right? But tonight, this is, it's one step, and you are not locked in. It's not 4 mills. You're not having a special assessment. You are exploring the possibility.
Gives us the opportunity to sit with the residents at this hearing and for them to hear our position and why, and to hear feedback from them.
Well, it's to hear comments and objections from them
On the
We can present
special
them.
assessment.
on the proposed special assessment.
We can present our numbers and
You don't have to sit mute. I mean,
No.
you can talk, you can
Yes.
explain, of course, just like at any meeting.
okay.
So my next question is, if this board votes yes tonight, that puts into motion a lot of work for you, getting the costs and estimates on every parcel, every real parcel. It's,
I'm not gathering costs. You guys will have to determine who's gonna do those costs. Once those costs are determined, then when we get to that point in the process, I would create a role based on those costs. But it wouldn't be something in my office, we gather those costs.
so the costs and estimates have to be gathered, and then we're voting tonight to set in process or set in motion to do that, and then to have you create a role, right, for the special assessment
That would be at the next one.
at the next hearing.
Can I ask
So
a question?
I wanted to, I'm not done.
Sorry, I apologize. I thought you were.
I wanted to mention so that the board knows, I asked the assessor to give me an idea of what we're talking about, 4 mills for special assessment. Here's our, what's that?
Yeah, they're talking.
I don't know most of the people in the audience.
That's what you got the gavel for.
Can we not talk in the audience, please? Thank you. Harvest Mezzanine LLC, if this special assessment passes, on top of the 3.85 mills that was voted in for public safety, they'll be paying an additional $23,878 a year. Sunridge,
The apartment complex on Flushing Road, $21,834. Genesee Mall Realty LLC, $21,003. RCG Flint on Linden Road, $14,874. Riverwood Apartments, $13,025. And this is just a little bit more than the 3.8 mils they're already paying. Walmart, $12,628. SMV Flint LLC, $11,914. Stonehenge Gates, $11,714. VS Genesee Valley LLC on Court Street, $11,733. Federated Department Stores Macy's, $11,608. I asked the assessor to give me an idea of what Shea would be paying in total with all their properties, $29,993 on top of the public safety millage. I think that we have not done our due diligence in taking into consideration what else there is to be able to do, such as something was mentioned tonight, finding other ways besides raising taxes to address our issue. That's what I have to say this evening. If you had anything else to say, go ahead.
Well, thank you. Exactly. And Madam Supervisor, respectfully, the residents, us, and the businesses would all be held accountable, if you will, or be have an assessment applied to this. And this is to preserve the services and to support and increase services, or be able to maintain, maintain the services that this township, that us, the residents and the businesses, would expect living in the great charter township of Flint, as Mr. Shoemaker walked out a few minutes ago and said. I am not in any favor of having to pay more taxes for anyone, but again, there's several people that have reached out to different communities. Mr. Young got up and left, but there's several people in this group of all of us in this room, I'll just say people in this room, that have reached out to the state of Michigan, that have reached out and asked for, applied for grants and asked for dollars and said, what can we get and what can this do? And one of the directive questions that you sent to the attorney was, if we approve this and the 4 mills, which you guys will all see why 4 mills was the chosen number, this will eliminate a liability in the general fund for fire. This will eliminate all the liability in the general fund for the fire. This will reduce the amount of money that's in the current public safety millage by the less than $200,000 out of the public safety millage, and put it together in a millage that would allow for, an assessment, to put it into the package, and you guys will all get that informational package. None of this, and that's why we're asking that we follow the direction, what we have to do to make this work, to let you guys all know. I wanted to be working in the right process. That's why I asked for the legal opinion. I wouldn't do anything that wasn't right. But that number will take the number.
Please, we need to
Really?
refrain.
I'm sorry, that was disrespectful on my part. I've never done that. Regroup. The quality of services that any business or resident would require is based on what your community can offer, based on the dollars that they have to support these services. Some folks talked about earlier, I'm adamantly against because I'm already paying these taxes, or I'm doing it, and therefore I don't want to pay any more taxes for my whatever it might be. But if you look at the past, and I've looked as far back as 20 years plus and said, okay, where were we? What was the dollar revenue coming in? What was the dollar revenue going out? How much were we bringing in? What does it cost to maintain back then to what it costs to maintain similar services today? Costs have gone up all the way across the board. Costs have gone up, numbers have gone up, and yet people have gone down. The opportunity to have a number of people has gone down. You just heard a whistle and a beep, and you just saw one of your firefighters run out of the building to an issue. That's what they're headed to do. We're limited on the number of bodies that we have that can do that. And the idea that if we can find a way to fix, one, the deficit, which we right now are in a tight situation, we're in a real tough situation that, and you'll see this in the documentation. I have multiple conversations with our controller, multiple conversations with our police and fire chief about services and what we can do, and yet what they can't do because they don't have enough bodies. Bodies require money. Money requires, how do we get it? We can't just, again, this opens the dialogue. I just want to have dialogue. I don't want to have arguments. I want you to be handed papers that show everything transparent that we've been working on, trying to get it all ready. But because it takes a length of time, I didn't have it ready 4 weeks ago. I didn't have it ready as when we were delayed 2 meetings ago, when we pushed it back, so that we could get everything in the right order. I'm not hiding anything. I know Greg's not. I know nobody else is. The chiefs aren't. We've met with residents. We've had conversations on the side of the road. We've had conversations here and there. I've had multiple phone conversations. People have come up here. It's all about helping the big picture. And if you'll look at it, if you'll just be patient and look at the big picture, if at the end, after a couple of conversations with a room full of people, you guys say, "Please, we're not for an assessment." Okay, I'm good. Then the next step is to turn to the attorney and shift gears and ask if we can ask for a millage. But when you see the documentation, I'm hoping you'll understand a little better.
So I don't think anyone doubts that we don't support our police and fire. If you add up the budgets for the police and fire, it's close to $10 million. Our general fund revenue is $11.7 million. Our public safety revenue is $3.5 million. That's roughly close to $15.5 million, and we spend $10 million on police and fire. You add in the legacy cost of retirement, there's over $1 million there. That's $11 million. And then you add in healthcare. I'm not saying the $1 million we pay per year for healthcare is all police and fire, but I'm saying we spend a significant amount of money of our budget between general fund and public safety. 100% goes to police and fire. I think there's other ways to explore on meeting the needs of what our community requires as far as services. And I think by allowing the residents, if we're gonna go and ask for more money, to allow them to vote on it, to give us what they feel, what they wanna do. I mean, we're here to represent them, not to force an assessment on them. And that's all I had to say. If anybody else has anything else to say before we take the vote, now's the time.
Excuse me, what's the rush?
I don't have any rush. To answer that, what's the rush? There is no rush. It takes a length of time, and in order to get my understanding, again, looking at a timeline of what it takes to ask the residents for public input, I asked the attorney, how many meetings, what does it take, how does it work? This opens the door for the communication. It does not lock us into an assessment. It allows us to gather the information that would reflect an assessment and or a millage. It reflects both pieces once this piece, you allow us to do the work.
This resolution is specific to a special assessment, not a millage.
It is specific, but, may I ask a question? If the gathering of the data impacts both, per se, am I right? If we gather the data of what an assessment of 4 mills would do, then that data would reflect an assessment, a millage of what 4 mills would do, correct? Pretty much?
I'm sorry, I don't follow the question.
Okay, if we are doing an assessment, looking at the data for an assessment at 4 mills, it's based on what a 4 mill millage is, correct?
Well, that's worded right now, that's true.
That's true, okay. So it doesn't take anything away from either, it's asking that we look at what it would take. Someone asked, why did Attorney Gildner go from 1 mill to 4 mill? We looked at what amount is in the general fund for fire and what amount is sitting in the public safety millage, brought the two together and said, let's take them out of the general fund, eliminate that expense in the general fund, so that reduces the liability in the general fund, and currently in our controllers here, we're looking at about 600,000 in the hole right now. Okay, so if we could take the amount of money that is currently in the general fund out, that you mentioned, 1.3?
Out of what? General?
General fund?
Yeah, I don't have the.
1.3, am I right? 1.3. So we would eliminate the 1.3 with this from the general fund. So the liability of some of the health insurance and retirement costs and the salaries and the operating costs would be gone from the general fund. It would be specific to the fire. Now, here was another question, and it just popped into my head. Someone asked Attorney Gildner, Madam Supervisor, with this state law states that you create an independent group that every year an assessment has a group of, and I think it's 7 minimum, I don't want to say less than that, 5, but it's so it doesn't have a 3-3 or a 2-2 if it was 4, that this independent group is established, not Tom Klee sitting on that board, not Karen Miller, not Madam Clerk, but it would be 7 residents of the community, involved individuals with the support of, and the controller would be, if I'm not mistaken, is allowed to sit on it as the informational person. And every year an assessment is looked at to say, okay, we think 4 mills is what this starts out at. And after a year, we see that 4 mills we're wonderful. Well, this group, that group of 7, or the number that it's applied to, and you can look it up in the state law, it allows that to happen. That group says, we probably don't need 4. Maybe we need 3.5, or we're making the numbers and things are looking well. These are all moving parts that are in the act that we're trying to follow. The other piece is, and I mentioned, we've had conversation, several of us in this room, Madam Supervisor, myself, the controller, the chiefs, with some elected officials in Lansing. And we've reached out and said, hey, what could you support for dollars for Flint Township's fire and police support? And they said, there's money there, but you got to show us, one, nobody's asked for it from here for that money that's up there, but you got to show us what you can do with it, or how you can handle an influx of dollars that may come in. We don't know, yes or no. We did ask for some, help me, what did we get Madam Supervisor, the money for insurance, retirement? We did get a pension investment.
The controller and I applied for Protecting My Pensions grant, and the township received $398,000 that went directly to MERS to bring the pension funding up to 60%.
Right, so those kinds of things are being asked for. Quick comment, and it'll be brought up later on in these. It's in one of the questions or comments. Beecher Schools got, by going to the state, they asked for some money and they got around $30 million to build and modify their school because they went and asked for it. Other communities are going and reaching out. All we're looking to do is, yes, we reached out to the state, but they also want to see what are you going to do to help. If we can help you and we're not dead, they haven't said no, but they want to see what our process is. This is our process to show them in good faith we're working to help the overall community. All it is for us to let you folks see what's going on, the numbers, what it would help to, what it will cost each of us individually. And it'll all be in a document that will be handed to you, one page, very easy to read and clear and laid out.
So I received
Call the
a text
question.
from you that said that from Senator Cherry's office that Flint Township would not qualify for the most recent unfunded liabilities grant. It would
Correct.
impact communities that have required yearly contributions to pay down their unfunded liabilities that amount to more than 22% of their government revenues. Flint Township falls outside that category. There are about 24 communities in the state that fall into that category. I won't go into it, but I mean,
Why did Senator Cherry say that we didn't? Because we are funding ours over the 60+% right now. We're trying to do the right thing, but it's costing money.
That's what's causing the problem.
That's what's causing the problem, is these unfunded liabilities that were put in place many years ago that now this board is trying to correct.
and we're gonna ask all the residents to fix the problem.
Well, I hate to say it,
Plan to fix the problem.
Somebody mentioned consolidating. I brought up, starting in 2015, public safety. We haven't even looked into that. We have not explored different ideas. But back to the
back to what the motion that's on the table, if I may. My motion was to support this resolution to get the public's input in the at the next meeting, which would be February 26th at 6 p.m. And you have to repeat it. I'll repeat it. I'm sorry, and let you. Motion was by myself, and I think Mr. King, you seconded it.
So we have a motion on the table to approve the resolution. Where'd my paper?
Other one. Oh no, that's it.
To hold a public hearing on February 26th at 6 p.m. at the Central Church of the Nazarene, 1261 Bristol Road, to hear comments or objections about, 1, costs and estimates of providing fire protection services, establishment of special assessment district to finance those services, that district to consist of all parcels in the township subject to the collection of taxes under the General Property Act, and 3, special assessment being a levy of up to 4 mills of the taxable value of all assessed parcels. So everyone understands that this is the process to start the special assessment. Madam Clerk, roll call please on the resolution.
Meetings. Can we table this? Because it looks like our board, the 6 of us sitting up here, we have a lot of discussion that we need to have. Trustee Burt says she hasn't been in the loop. It's like, I think we need to have a little bit more discussion. We know, and maybe some others do, the condition that the township is in. We know
You
we
making
have
that
to do
motion?
something.
You're making the motion?
I am.
Is there a second to the motion to postpone?
Support.
Madam Clerk, roll call please on the motion to postpone. And this goes before that. So Madam Clerk, roll call please
Okay, Treasurer
to
Clee,
postpone
No.
this vote.
Supervisor Miller,
No.
Trustee Burt,
Yes.
Trustee Fabdahl,
Yes.
Trustee King.
Nope.
Clerk Triplett, yes.
That's a 3-3 tie. The motion fails. Back to the original motion is to support, approve this resolution. And Mr. Gilner, I know we'll have public hearings to have input. This is a starting process of a special assessment. Is that correct?
I don't know how I can answer it any differently. It's starting the process.
Starting the process. Thank you.
Or informational meetings only.
It does not lock you in.
It doesn't lock us in. That's the key. It does
It
not.
doesn't lock us in. This is, again, I say, this is not the process for a millage. This is the starting process of a special assessment. Madam Clerk, Roll call, please.
What am I roll calling for now?
The first.
This resolution that we just read.
Because it's obviously we don't have all our ducks in a row. Barb's uninformed. We're not understanding, but we need to sit our butts down in some seats with some paper and pencil and talk with Attorney Gildner, your controller there, and Ms. Dotson, and get this figured out. I know everybody voted, we had a tie.
And
But
the
do you
tie
guys
goes
wanna
down.
move forward with this, with all this in disarray? We don't even, you know.
We can't go on to any other business until we
Right.
handle this
I know, I'm
motion.
aware of that.
And the motion to postpone was
Denied.
It failed.
Nobody has nothing to say? Why everybody so tight?
Well,
Look,
I
man,
mean-
we gotta move with this one way or the other. Somebody needs to say something. What's up?
Motion.
Say?
They're waiting for you to roll call.
just a giant mess. I mean, and.
It doesn't have to be. If we
Shouldn't-
sit down and
shouldn't-
have
it
clarity, it doesn't have to be like that. We can move forward. But I think the way it is now is obvious, 3 and 3, there's a problem. And I'm pretty sure we all pretty much intelligent individuals sitting up here, correct? Hey, I won't even answer that.
So I'm gonna jump in here.
Motion on the floor.
We have a motion, and we
And a
need to
motion.
take the
So
roll
we have
call
some
on the
discuss-
motion.
Can we, we're still in discuss, you calling for vote?
I
She
did.
already did
Okay,
twice.
sorry.
Supervisor Miller,
On the motion to approve the resolution for special assessment, absolutely not. Please, no clapping, thank you.
Trustee Vert,
No.
Trustee King,
Yes.
Treasurer Clee,
Yes.
Trustee Fabdon.
For just informational meetings only, yes.
See, that's what I'm saying. Clerk Triplett, decided at this point.
So, you have to vote because we need to know whether this is approved or denied, and then we can move on to further business.
This is to move forward with informational meetings. It doesn't say anything, I've got the attorney here and I have witnesses. So, I will hold you up on it.
Listen, I wouldn't tell you something that I'm not gonna stand behind, so.
Is this the only way we can get the information out, is by going this route?
No,
No.
we can't ask that question. I don't know if we can ask that.
We cannot continue with business until you vote. I apologize, and I know it's a tough decision.
I apologize. I just think that say yes.
The motion passes. We're on to action item B. Mr. Klee?
Action
Treasurer
item
Klee?
B is to set the public hearing, the public notice of hearing. The Flint Township Board would like to hold a public hearing on February 26th, 2024, 6 PM at the Central Church of the Nazarene, G1261 West Bristol Road, Flint 48507. And the purpose of this hearing is to hear the comments and objections about, 1, what the costs and estimates of providing fire protection services throughout the township are. 2, and I quote, "The possible establishment," and I have it highlighted on my paper, "of a special assessment district to finance those costs and expenses with the district consisting of the parcels in the township subject to the collection of taxes under the General Property Tax Act." And item 3, the proposed assessment being levied would be up to 4 mills of the taxable value of the assessed properties. Appearance and protest at the hearing is required to appeal the amount of special assessment to the tax tribunal. An appearance and protest may be made by an owner or party in interest or his agent, by appearing in person at the hearing to protest the special assessment, or by filing his or her appearance or protest by letter, in which case the personal appearance shall not be required. If you wish to submit your comments in writing, please direct them to the Flint Township Clerk no later than February 23rd, 2024. Finally, if you require any handicapped accommodations or auxiliary services at the church, please make those arrangements by contacting the Township Clerk's office at 810-732-1350. Again, no later than February 23rd, 2024.
That does not need to be made into a motion or acted on. The date of the hearing and place was already in the resolution. That's just the language of what would be published.
So with that said, can I ask a question then? With that, this is what we will be placing in the newspaper, the media, our website, all of the public notification sites that we use. Am I correct? Is that?
This is for the publication. What you do with it beyond that is up to you.
It's the public's publication. Okay, thank you. Yes, sir. That's what I was asking.
Treasurer Clay, you mentioned sending a letter to all the parcels that were going to be assessed. Is that going to happen?
We had had that conversation, and that was one of the conversations I wanted to have with you, and Madam Clerk put together this nice card for her, so I want to be able to insert a lot of this information on that card and get it mailed out. Yes, so I will be working diligently this week along with others, including with the finance person, so you all will get information, and you'll get a hand piece, or one hand piece, if you will, back to back, and that on that first evening.
So you're saying that every parcel that would be charged this assessment will receive that notice of public hearing?
That's the intent, yes, ma'am.
What is the cost of that?
We're gonna look into, that's around,
That's something right there you have to know.
was it to get to 10,000 parcels? You sent it to every voter. What was this cost? Do you remember?
Property owners that we have to send to, right?
Right, yeah. So Tracy, do you
remember the
remember what the
postage
cost was this card? It won't be as elegant as this.
That was like 3,000 total, that included the postage.
Postage and everything.
How much was the postage on each one?
That one, I think it was, total was $3,200.
Per card, how much was the postage on?
I'm not sure. I think it might have been 32 cents.
32 cents. Thank you.
But if you're no, it'd be about the same. I don't know how many actual landowners. Because you can probably sort out the ones that are duplicates, right?
It will be, it's a different number of what.
Yeah, because this was sent to households, which includes like all the apartments and that type of thing.
So I don't think there's an answer to the question yet, Trustee Burt.
That will come.
Okay, so, since the public hearing was set and voted on and approved in the original resolution for the special assessment, we'll go on to action item C. Chief Beckley.
Thank you. We've been continuously trying to update and maintain
can
our
you-
fire.
excuse me?
Yes.
We're saying goodbye.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
And we're gonna say goodbye to our assessor and our controller.
What?
Yeah, Karen, I think it was 32 cents per card. So if you did 10,000, that'd be the 32.
That's what I had. The number I had was about $3,000 out of the expense of this. That's what the whole idea.
All right, Chief Beckley.
Ready? All right, so we've been working continuously to update and maintain our fire stations. Fire station was built in the 70s and still has many of its floor drain grates in the garage area that are original. Approximately half of them were replaced 5 years ago, with the remaining half are beginning to fail. There are several that are damaged, that are actually broken, that are rusting. and they're creating trip hazards throughout that area. We've been able to contact two companies that make these replacement grates. We were able to contact the company that we purchased them from in 2019 and one other company. East Jordan Iron Works was the lowest bidder at $6,899.20. So I'd like to move forward with purchasing those grates out of our 2024 building additions and improvements budget.
We need a motion in order to move forward.
Make a motion that we move forward with it.
Is there a second to the motion?
Support.
Any questions or discussion on the motion to update and maintain the floor drain grates at Fire Station 1 in the amount of $6,899.20?
I have a question. What was the floor work we did in September?
That was to the actual floor coverings, not to the actual drains themselves. So this is in conjunction with that to kind of wrap up that project of repairing the chipped floors, the damaged areas, and then also to complete this with these grates that need to be replaced. Additionally, they're different companies, different items. So this is just kind of completing that process.
And that's not gonna damage the work you have done? Because I've been over there, I've looked at them.
Nope. These are basically removable grates that we're able to clean out underneath. So these will just be removed out, the old ones, and the new ones will be placed right in. It won't do any damage to the actual floors. There's no actual floor work. They're just basically in like a channel on each side that they just kind of set into.
All right, thank you.
$6,899.20.
Thank you.
Is there any other discussion or any further questions for Chief Beckley? No? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, roll call please on approving the motion to replace the remaining floor drain grates at Fire Station 1 in the amount of $6,899.20.
Supervisor Miller?
Yes.
Trustee King?
Yes.
Trustee Fabdal?
Yes.
Trustee Vert?
Yes.
Clerk Triplett, yes. Treasurer Klee?
Yes.
Thank you, Board.
Action item D, Chief Beckley.
Let me see. Get to the right one. Sorry. Did I lose this one? Where'd it go? All those days. Did you take it, Chief?
No.
I have it right here if you want it.
I don't have mine. I don't know where it went. Did you take it from me? Oh, boy.
Hand him that.
I wouldn't do that right now to you, though.
Sorry about that. It's been a day. We recently received an application from Mr. Todd McDonald for an on-call firefighter position. Mr. McDonald served as a firefighter since 2006 in Fenton Township and Argentine Township. Todd recently moved into our township and would like to join our department. He has completed all necessary background checks and pre-employment testing required by our department. So with your approval, I'd like the board to authorize hiring him as an on-call firefighter effective immediately. Upon your approval, he'll begin training with our personnel to become familiar with our operation, and hopefully within the next few weeks, he'll be available to respond to emergency calls within our community. So this will take us to 11 on-call firefighters in our departments.
Would someone like to make the motion?
They would move to accept Chief Beckley's recommendation to hire the on-call firefighter, respectfully named Mr. Todd McDonald.
Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, roll call please, Madam Clerk, on the motion to hire an on-call firefighter, Todd McDonald, effective immediately.
Trustee Vert?
Yes.
Trustee Fabdal?
Yes.
Trustee King?
Yes.
Treasurer Klee?
Ma'am.
Clerk Triplett, yes. And Supervisor Miller?
Yes. That was a whole lot easier than the one before.
Tanya, who was the second on that motion?
Greg King.
Greg King.
Was it? Okay, thank you.
Action item E, Chief Beckley.
Back to me again. Busy day today.
I apologize.
So one of our highest priorities over the last 2 years has been updating, evaluating our policies and procedures within our department. This has been a process that has become apparent. Our current system is outdated and needs to be replaced. Updating these and making sure your fire department has the appropriate policies and procedures in place makes us more efficient, safer, and helps us cover our department from liability. Of course, nothing can completely eliminate this, but following best practices and standards will help us to reduce these. After several discussions, virtual demos, and talks with departments currently using several different systems, I'd like to move forward with Lexipol. The cost of this system will be $10,602.05 for year one startup and training, and the recurring cost will be $5,351.40. This does include any software upgrades that come out, product support, customization, all of that kind of stuff. This also does include an annual review by their staff, which includes attorneys on any recommendations on changes based off litigations or other legal challenges. Basically, our policies and procedures, most of them have been in place since 2009 and have had very little review, revisions, or anything like that since then. They pretty much needed a new start and a complete overhaul to make sure that we are covered the way that we should be as a community. So I would like to move forward with this. If possible, if there's ARPA funding remaining, I'd like the first year upfront cost to come out of that, and then the recurring costs will move into our 2025 budget if possible.
What's that? I need a motion, please.
I'll make a motion to approve the purchasing of a policy management system for the fire department in the cost of $10,602.05.
Is there wait, he's asking for more.
Nope, that's all.
So
With a recurring cost.
that's
That's the year one total, and that does include help with our high risk, high liability policies to help us get up to date as soon as possible and to make sure that we are covered as soon as possible.
We have a second to the motion? Thank you.
Second.
Any questions or discussion?
I have a question. Do you think with the possible fire assessment that you should wait on this?
I think either way, our department is lacking in some of these areas, and we really need to step up in these policies and procedures. This has been a high stress point for me over the last two years, and something I've been trying to work diligently to update. However, it's become apparent that we need some help to make sure. I'm a fire chief. I'm not a legal expert, an attorney. So I'd like to have the experts help us out with this. I have talked to several other departments and chiefs that use this, from departments smaller than us to departments much larger than us. And no matter what size our department is, I feel that this is imperative that we move forward.
Even though this could take place, this assessment, within a few months?
Either way, this would cover us whether we're the size we are today, we're smaller, we're a larger. This really has no effect on the assessment at all. This is still something that I feel is crucial, whether there's an assessment in place or we are where we are now.
So I had a summary of the ARPA dollars, and so we have set aside money for two of the firefighters. One is the fire marshal, and he's done inspections and brought in some fees, and we've done some cost recovery. And the other firefighter that we funded is set aside. There's only going to be 6 months of ARPA dollars used for last year. So we do have the funding in there. And I've asked Kevin McIntyre to give us a summary of the $3.2 million. We've used a third of that on wages for essential workers. We've used a third of that on infrastructure, and we've used a third of that on equipment. So there's a bit left, and he'll give us an update, but I know that there's enough to cover this amount today out of ARPA dollars. Anybody have any other questions or discussion?
Do we need to put that in the motion, that it's being paid out of ARPA dollars? Trying to remember.
Did you make the motion? Who made the motion?
Carol
Did you mention
Carol
it
did.
in your motion?
I did.
Yeah, she
Okay.
did say that.
Alrighty, so we're set. Madam Clerk, roll call, unless there's any further discussion. Roll call, please, on updating the, getting a new policy software management in the fire department with Lexipol in the amount of $10,602.05 using ARPA funds.
Supervisor Miller?
Yes.
Trustee King?
Yes.
Treasurer Clee?
Yes.
Clerk Triplett, yes. Trustee Favdal?
Yes.
And Trustee Burke?
No.
Last item, Chief Beckley, action item F.
Thank you. Again, as part of our process of updating and maintaining stations, the floors in the interior area of our station are original to the 1970s as well. We have been trying to update these areas, maintain them, and prepare them for future use so that they last us a long time to come. At this time, we'd like to move forward with refinishing them with high-quality epoxy coating, similar to like a garage floor coating. They'll be slip resistant, which our current floors are not, and they will cover our main hallway, bathrooms, kitchen, and living area. We will complete some other upgrades later on this year. But I'd like to move forward with Father and Son concrete coatings for a total of $7,550 even. And again, this will be a budgeted expense out of our 2024 building additions and improvements budget.
So is there a motion to move forward?
We would move to support the motion supplied by the chief in regards to the finishing of the floors in Station 1.
Is there a second?
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Per the amount of as he requested, and now I'm having a problem getting mine to open back up. Father and Son at the cost of $7,550.
Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Any questions or discussion?
Another question.
Sure.
So how long have these floors been this way?
They've been this way since when the building was built in the 70s, I believe.
Again, I'm gonna say that, this is more to me of a want than a need. That's how I'm looking at it, because it's been this long, and I think again with, what we have coming before us here, I just don't think this is a good time to have that done. I think in a few months, you might have all the money you want to fix that. And I mean that. So I'm gonna be a no on that, I'm sorry.
Again, all I'm trying to do is, do my diligence to, maintain our facilities, which I've been
And
asked
I
to do.
agree, but sometimes we have to stop on the list
Absolutely.
and move forward with what's most important.
Any other discussion on this? Hearing-
Was it budgeted with the
Yes.
ARPA
It
fund
is,
as well?
that is actually budgeted in our 2024 budget. Yeah.
Building and additions and improvements. So, Madam Clerk, roll call please on, the motion to refinish the flooring at Station 1 in the amount of $7,550 that's budgeted in the building and additions and improvement budget, and to go with the estimate from Father and Son's concrete coatings, is that correct?
That's correct.
Trustee King?
Yes.
Treasurer Glee?
Yes.
Trustee Byrd? No. Supervisor Miller?
Yes.
Trustee Fabdal?
Yes.
Thank you.
And
Whoops. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I speak too early?
You got the vote. You already had 4.
I'm sorry. I thought that was all 6. I'm sorry.
Clerk Triplett, yes.
Thank you now. I apologize.
Now you have
Sorry, I was reading.
Yeah, I had 5.
Did you have, who did you have as a second on that?
King.
Okay.
So action item G is the Water Affordability Act. You have before you a resolution to oppose, I'll just read it. Whereas the Charter Township of Flint by and through the Charter Township of Flint Board of Trustees opposes any fees or taxes proposed under House Bill 5089 of 2023. Whereas the Charter Township of Flint Board of Trustees opposes any similar legislation that places an unnecessary undue burden upon the township residents, its water customers, and the township itself. Now therefore be it resolved by the Township Board of Flint Charter Township, Genesee County, Michigan, hereby opposes these bills to such a degree that we request Representative Jasper Martis, Representative Cynthia Neely, and Senator John Cherry Jr. not only present this resolution in written form, but stand before each vote of this type of fee on water and present it verbally so it may be entered into their respective legislative records. So that's the resolution, and I'm making a motion to, that the board approve this resolution to oppose the state adding $2 to everybody's water bill to help an assistance fund at the state level. Is there a second to the motion? Trustee King? Trustee King, sorry. Any questions or discussion on this?
Would you mind explaining to the residents what the $2 is supposed to go for?
For people who can't afford their water bill. And also, they're looking at putting in this bill the inability of the township to shut off anybody's water if you don't pay your bill.
Right. So with that said, I guess I'm gonna ask the question. If I don't pay my water bill and this passes, you guys are gonna eat me, I'm gonna continue paying my water, and who's gonna pay my bill? Nobody, right? Is that what this bill does?
If you continue consuming water and not paying the bill,
I just wanted
everyone
that-
else who does pay their bill will have to pay.
Or they're gonna come over and they'll help me shut my water off personally.
So,
I just want to be clear on this one, as much conversation as we've had. You and I have had multiple conversations about this one, and I was like, okay.
I would give kudos to Senator John Cherry Jr., who came out to our last Water and Waste Advisory meeting and spent a lot of his time listening to the different supervisors and people who represent their DPW departments, and how detrimental that $2 per bill fee would be to their communities, and also not being able to go after people who don't pay their bills. So they'd get free water. So, any other discussion? Any other questions? All those in favor of approving this resolution, to support this resolution, opposing the legislation, House Bill 5089 of 2023, signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? It stands unanimous support. Action item H is POAM tentative agreement. You have before you, it's in the board packet, the draft of the new contract, and over the weekend, I sent you a copy of the ratified tentative agreement with Patrol Officers Association of Michigan. And so we ratified this at the table. The board, if they want to, needs to approve it moving forward, and I need a motion to move forward. I'll move approval of the TA with POAM. Is there a second to the motion? Or is there questions or conversation?
A lot of work went into getting this taken care of. Karen, yourself, myself, Kevin McIntyre, and both sides of the team. So this is good. One is completed. We have 5 more to go. 2 are real close. So
The duration of this is 18 months.
correct.
It's, would be effective as of January 1st and goes through June 30th of 2025. Any other questions or discussion? Hearing none, I'm going to have you do the roll call, Madam Clerk, please.
Supervisor Miller?
Yes.
Trustee King?
Yes.
Trustee Fabdo?
Yes.
Trustee Burt?
Yes.
Clerk Triplett, yes. Treasurer Clee?
Yes.
Thank you, Board. Next is action item I is Beecher Road CIA. Oh my gosh, I have so many papers up here, I can't, here it is. I'd ask the board to consider appointing Angela Lotz from ATL Caribbean Jerk to a 4-year term on the Beecher Road Corridor Improvement Authority. Do we want to do these individually or together? Together's fine.
We can do them all together.
And Reginald
Right here.
Davison from Dawoodson Development Group for a 4-year term that ends in April of '28. Need a motion to move forward?
To approve.
Is there a second?
Or
Any questions or discussions? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving those appointments signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That stands approved. And then action item J is the appointments to the DDA. We have Gary Harand, it would be a reappointment. He's a developer in the township to a 4-year term. Nino Sapone is the director at Bishop International Airport for a 4-year term. We had someone leave, and they were filling in for my position on that board. We have open position, Stacy Fields from Shea is interested in being on the DDA board for a 4-year term. Christopher Estes, he's a president of and CEO of Security Credit Union for a 4-year term. And David Gaines from Gaines Jewelry for a 4-year term. I need a motion in order to move forward.
Move to approve.
Is there a second?
We would, sorry, go ahead, Greg.
Trustee King? Any questions or discussion? Any comments?
Just one, and I know I read this over and over and over, but we're not losing the 2 or the 3 at the top, are we? The other 3 in red?
No.
I did.
Mr. Haran and Mr. Sapone are reappointments.
That's right.
I'm filling in my
For the
position
law-
for the supervisor, and
Gotcha.
then there was 3 open ones. Any other questions? Hearing none, all those in favor of the appointment signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? That stands approved. Action item K, appointee trustee. So we did this once before, and here we are to do it again. And, does everybody have a list in front of them? They do.
I printed this off.
Everybody should have one of these.
Printed this off based on our minutes. Everybody, I printed this off
Has
based
the
on the
people's
minutes.
names on the
Right,
top.
if you'd like a
The
copy
names?
of the big thing as well, so you can keep track.
Anyone else need names?
Tanya, who did you have as like seconder on
You do?
the seconder on the last vote?
That was, Bert and Fab Dog.
Okay, that's what I had, okay, thank you. Before we got into this, I wanted to make sure I actually had that.
It's in big letters so you
Oh,
can see
I
it
think they've got
clearly.
one.
Want one of those bigger letters printed out?
It's the same thing. Thank you.
Pass them down.
So, we need a motion to fill the position, and then we can name who we're going to name that we want to fill the position with. We had a special meeting that was that the 29th of January, where we re-interviewed anyone who applied in September. We gave them a little bit shorter time, and then there were 2 people who had not applied before. That was a Michael Collins and a Jean Leverett Sr. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, he didn't show up.
Top one was out.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, and Tunisia Amadou. We have 9 people that are interested, and we have to come up with who's going to fill the position. Whoever gets the 4 votes will be the new trustee.
Wait a minute. Is William Alexander here? He's not here, right?
Oh, I take that back. He didn't show either.
He didn't. William Alexander is out.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
Kareem
6, 7,
McKay,
8.
Andrew
8
McKay,
people.
William McKay. 312 withdrew.
I got 9.
Okay, I'm going to review the list just to make sure we know. Kareem Snell, right? Kenyatta Dotson, Dave Huffman, Bill McKay, Harry Blecker, Michael Collins, Jean Leverett, and Tunisia Amadou. She bowed out.
Did Andrew fax as well?
He didn't show up.
Tanya Hunter bowed out.
I didn't know if you wanted them left on there. I knew the other ones were.
He's already, oh, Andrew's out also.
This is right,
Yeah,
except for these
yeah.
2.
I had this right. Okay.
But, yeah, so there should be 8 that took it, correct?
Andrew Fox and Tanya Hunter.
Alrighty.
Look, we need to take that one off then, right?
Okay.
Is he, is it right? Am I right?
That's
Andrew
right.
Fox needs to come off that vote list.
So, are you ready to keep track, Madam Clerk?
I'm ready, as ready as I'm gonna get.
Sorry, so this is, someone want to make a motion to fill the position?
Motion to fill the vacant position of trustee.
Tanya Hunter is out too.
And does someone want to second that? Or, let's go through and name who you're gonna, choose. Yes. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Trustee Burt,
Harry Blecker.
Fab Dog,
Dotson.
Trustee King,
Collins.
We can't hear.
Supervisor Miller.
This is round 1, right?
Yeah.
Bill McKay.
So,
Doing it wrong.
Kenyatta Dotson.
Bert was Harry Blecker. Okay, I got, go ahead. Did you
Ready?
throw yours in?
Not yet.
Okay.
Treasurer Clee,
Oh,
Um,
you're up next.
Clerk Triplett, Kenyatta Dotson. Treasurer Clee?
Dave Huffman.
So no one got 4, we'll go to round 2. It starts with trustee Fepdahl,
Dotson,
Trustee King?
Collins.
Miller?
Kareem Snell,
Clerk Triplett? Dotson? Treasurer Clee?
Kareem Snell.
Trustee Burt? Ernie Blecker?
no one got 4. Round 3 starts with trustee King,
Collins.
Supervisor Miller?
Ray Blecker,
Clerk Triplett? Kareem? Snell? Treasurer Clee?
Dave Huffman.
didn't say her name yet.
Trustee Burt? Oh, I was waiting, you were looking, I didn't know what you meant.
I had two conversations
sorry.
going at one time. Listen to Karen and now.
Oh, go ahead and answer them both then.
I got it done. I'm good like that.
Blecker?
Everett,
No one got 4 votes. Round 4. Starts with you.
Clerk Triplett? Dotson? Kenyatta Dotson? Treasurer Clee?
Jean Leverett.
Trustee Burt? Harry Blecker? Trustee Fabdahl?
Dotson,
Trustee King?
Collins.
Supervisor Miller?
Bill McKay. Round 5 starts with trustee Clee.
Trustee Clee?
Mr. Collins.
Trustee Burt? Harry Blecker? Trustee Fabdahl?
Dotson,
Trustee King?
Collins.
Supervisor Miller?
Dave Huffman.
No, you're last. Yours. No.
Is it easier for you,
Right there.
Manya, if I call it?
Yeah, will you do that for me?
Okay, so
You're
you're the
next.
final vote on that round. So far you have Michael Collins, Harry Blecker, Kenyatta Dotson, Michael Collins, and Dave Huffman, and then it's your vote.
Kenyatta Dotson?
So on that round, let's see. Nope.
Twos.
Round 6.
Round 6, trustee Vert,
Harry Blecker?
trustee Fafdahl,
Dotson,
trustee King,
Collins.
supervisor Miller,
Dave Huffman.
clerk Triplett,
Jean Leverett?
treasurer Clee.
Dave Huffman.
You just had one that had 2, other than that, no consensus. Round 7, you ready?
Starts with trustee Vert.
Yes. Trustee Vert,
Harry Blecker?
trustee Fafdahl,
Dotson,
trustee King,
Collins.
supervisor Miller,
Bill McKay.
clerk Triplett,
Kenyatta Dotson?
treasurer Clee,
Jean Leverett.
Round 8.
trustee Fafdahl,
Dotson,
trustee King,
Collins.
Supervisor Miller,
Jean Leverett,
Clerk Triplett,
Dodson.
Treasurer Klee,
Mr. Leverett,
Trustee Vert,
Mary Blicker.
round 9.
Trustee King,
Collins.
Supervisor Miller,
Dave Huffman,
Clerk Triplett,
Jean Leverett.
Trustee Klee,
Dave Huffman,
Trustee Vert,
Mary Blicker.
Trustee Pfaffdal,
Leverett.
round 10.
Clerk Triplett, Clerk Triplett,
Leverett.
Trustee Klee, or Treasurer Klee,
Mr. Leverett,
Trustee Vert,
Mary Blicker.
Trustee Pfaffdal,
Dodson.
Trustee King,
Collins.
Supervisor Miller,
Leverett,
get a 3-1-1.
round 11.
Treasurer Klee,
Dave Huffman,
Trustee Vert,
Mary Blicker.
Trustee Pfaffdal,
Dodson.
Trustee King,
Collins.
Supervisor Miller,
Mary Blicker,
Clerk Triplett,
Deanna Dodson.
round 12.
Trustee Vert,
Mary Blicker.
Trustee Pfaffdal,
Dodson.
Trustee King,
Collins.
Supervisor Miller,
Dave Huffman,
Clerk Triplett,
Deanna Dodson.
Treasurer Klee,
Dave Huffman,
that was 12.
Yep, that was 12.
That says round 7 again.
Well, we can still use that, can't we?
Do we move down
Round 12 was,
round the next?
Yeah, just cross out the 7
Start
and
going
put
from there,
13.
so-
The next bottom of that sheet is empty, so it'll be 13, 14.
so trustee Vert was the first to lead on that round, so if we go, not round 7, but the next one that's empty, and put
Would be trustee-
13, then it would start out with trustee Pfaffdal. Does that make sense to you guys? Okay.
Next, we'll just skip that first row. Okay, Trustee Pfaffdal,
Dodson.
Trustee King,
Collins.
Supervisor Miller,
Bill McKay,
Clerk Triplett,
Dodson.
Treasurer Klee,
Jean Leverett,
Trustee Vert,
Mary Blicker.
14, starts with trustee
Trustee
King.
King,
Collins.
Supervisor Miller,
Leverett,
Clerk Triplett, Treasurer Klee,
Leverett,
Trustee Vert,
Mary Blicker.
Trustee Pfaffdal,
Dodson.
round 15, starts with
Clerk
Triplett.
Clerk Triplett,
Deanna Dodson.
Treasurer Klee,
Dave Huffman,
Trustee Vert,
Blicker.
Trustee Pfaffdal,
Dodson.
Trustee King,
Collins.
Supervisor Miller,
Dotson,
3-1-1.
round 16, starts with Clee.
Treasurer Klee,
Jean Leverett,
Trustee Vert.
Flicker.
Trustee Faftall.
Batson.
Trustee King.
Collins.
Supervisor Miller.
Barry Blecker.
Clerk Triplett.
Batson.
17. Starts with trustee Vert.
Trustee Vert.
Harry Blecker.
Trustee Faftall.
Batson.
Trustee King.
Collins.
Supervisor Miller.
Barry Blecker.
Clerk Triplett.
Batson.
Treasurer Clee.
Mr. Huffman. So I'm gonna ask a question here. Because we're at round 17 and because it started with Vert, we go back to page 1, it starts with Barb at the top of that list again.
Yeah, we're gonna have to skip the
So we'll have to go to
first row on
round
on
2.
the next sheet.
All right,
Yeah, so it'll be round 18.
18, okay,
With Carol Faftall.
yep. And the second line underneath there?
Yep.
It's round 2 here, I'm gonna do this one.
So it's actually
Round
page-
2, yep.
Page 1, round 2, second line. Page 1, round 2, second line.
Batson.
Ready?
She already called it out.
Yeah, trustee Faftall.
Batson.
Thank you. Trustee King.
Collins.
Supervisor Miller.
Huffman.
Clerk Triplett.
Batson.
Treasurer Clee.
Dave Huffman?
Trustee Vert.
Blecker.
19. Starting with you. Big.
Trustee King.
Collins.
Supervisor Miller.
I'll go back to Kareem Snell.
Clerk Triplett.
Batson.
Treasurer Clee.
Dave Huffman?
Trustee Vert.
Blecker.
Trustee Faftall.
Everett.
Round 20. Triplet.
Clerk Triplett.
Still Everett.
Treasurer Clee.
Jean Leverett?
Trustee Vert.
Harry Blecker.
Trustee Faftall.
Batson.
Trustee King.
Collins.
Supervisor Miller.
Leverett.
3111.
21. Starts with Clee.
Treasurer Clee.
Thinking too hard. Mr. Collins?
Trustee Vert.
Harry Blecker.
Trustee Faftall.
Batson.
Trustee King.
Collins.
Supervisor Miller.
Barry Blecker.
Clerk Triplett.
Batson.
22.
Trustee Vert.
Harry Blecker.
Trustee Faftall.
Batson.
Trustee King.
Collins.
Supervisor Miller.
Barry Blecker.
Clerk Triplett.
Kareem Snell.
Treasurer Clee.
Dave Huffman? Two, so it's 23. 53. Let's start with Barb.
We got another sheet here.
We have to move down to number 8, is that right?
Yep.
Round 8, okay. Becomes 23.
So we are on round 23.
That's Carol.
It would start with Carol. Trustee Fafdahl.
Batson.
Trustee King.
Collins.
Supervisor Miller.
Leverett.
Clerk Triplett. Treasurer Klee.
Mr. Leverett.
Trustee Vert.
Harry Blecker.
Or with you, Greg.
Trustee King.
Collins.
Supervisor Miller.
Huffman.
Clerk Triplett.
Batson.
Treasurer Klee.
Mr. Huffman.
Trustee Vert.
Blecker.
Trustee Fafdahl.
Batson.
Round 25. Clerk Triplett.
Green Snail.
Treasurer Klee.
Mr. Leverett.
Trustee Vert.
Excuse me, Blecker.
Trustee Fafdahl.
Batson.
Trustee King.
Collins.
Supervisor Miller.
Snell. 26.
Treasurer Klee, that's right. Treasurer Klee.
Dave Huffman.
Trustee Vert.
Harry Blecker.
Trustee Fafdahl.
Batson.
Trustee King.
Collins.
Supervisor Miller.
Huffman.
Clerk Triplett.
Batson.
1-1. So 27.
So, just to reiterate, if we don't come up with 4 votes, it goes to an election in May.
So are we at the bottom of the line?
That we'll have to pay for too.
Oh, yeah.
Are we at the bottom line?
Yeah,
here?
and it would start with Trustee Vert, round 27.
Eddie?
Harry Blecker.
Surprise.
Trustee Fafdahl.
Batson.
Trustee King.
Collins.
Supervisor Miller.
Harry Blecker.
Clerk Triplett.
Batson.
Treasurer Klee.
Dave Huffman.
I guess that pep talk didn't help.
I started to say, that's exactly what I was thinking.
13.
Oh, okay, so
Goes to
now we're
Carol.
gonna be on round 28.
Carol
We'll
Fafdahl.
start with Trustee Fafdahl.
Batson.
Trustee King.
Collins.
Supervisor Miller.
Bill McKay.
Clerk Triplett.
Leverett.
Treasurer Klee.
Leverett.
Trustee Vert.
Leverett.
We're on round 29, and it starts with Trustee King.
Correct. Trustee King.
Collins.
Supervisor Miller.
Leverett.
Clerk Triplett.
Leverett.
Treasurer Klee.
Mr. Leverett.
Trustee Vert.
Leverett.
We can stop. We have 4 votes. Go ahead.
You
I'm
don't wanna
sorry.
finish
Yes,
them?
go right ahead.
Trustee Fafdahl. I didn't know if you didn't realize there was one more vote.
Yes, sorry.
Trustee Fafdahl. Leverett. Okay. 4-1.
1, 2, 3, 4. Am I right? Is that 5 votes for Leverett and 1 vote for Collins?
I'm 1.
No. That's a surprise. Congratulations to you. So, I don't know if you were expecting this, Mr. Leverett, but, You want to invite your family, we can swear you in at our next board meeting and welcome you then. I think everyone's a little, you're not ready to do this, are you? That would be fair, right? Do you want your family here, or you want to do it now?
No, we
Okay, we'll wait till the next board meeting. Let me find my agenda.
Yeah, we'd have to.
So you're probably gonna have to swear him in, but you'll have to.
By the 15th in February.
December 31st, right?
Yeah.
So we need to swear him.
Valentine's Day.
Yeah, before the, yeah, he'd come in and just get sworn in, and we can do the ceremony later.
Alrighty, our next board meeting, just to make sure everyone knows, is March 4th, 2023. Can I have you have a sit down? Sorry. So our next meeting is March 4th, 2023 at 6 p.m. And please don't forget that the election is Tuesday, February 27th, and you have 9 days of early voting.
February 17th through the 25th.
Any questions, call the clerk's department, and you can drop off your application or your ballot in the drop box. And there's going to be a public hearing on getting your input for the assessment on
26th.
Monday, February 26th at
6 o'clock.
6 o'clock at the Central Church of the Nazarene on Bristol Road.
Correct.
And if there's no further business and without objection, we'll call the meeting adjourned.
Now you come back?
Hear me?